Hey everybody, this is John Scarborough and Savannah Scarborough behind the camera. We've got 7 tools that's going to help you with winter weather. Now, one of the tools that I'm looking at, I have not personally used, but I've heard a lot of good things about it and I'm excited to show it to you today. Our number 1 tool is this right here. Is one of my favorite little tools because it's so cheap. This you can get for around $5. This is about a 72 by 80, but they have all sorts of different sizes. This is my favorite size. It's easy, it's cheap, it's the best one for me. All this is a moving blanket, okay? They're so versatile because they're insulated. So what this is, you can use this, you can tuck it around water pipes. If you get a water pipe or a hydrant that you've got to run to some animals, like you got a lot of different things that you can do for cattle and things like that where you just ain't got to worry about it in our part of the country. But when you're having to do chickens on pasture, worrying about pigs, or you're watering from a pond or something like that, when you're like siphoning water, sometimes you just got a little problem that you can't quite fix. This right here, this is going to help you a lot because you can wrap it around a hydrant, you can wrap it around a pipe, sometimes you can wrap it around storage containers. We'll show you a couple cutaways for that. This is just awful handy for that kind of thing. Now also, one of the things I really like about it is I can use it as a dog bed. I can use it to cover a dog crate if it's cold outside. This is going to be really good if you get a bottle calf or a bottle lamb or something. You just need something to help warm them up. This right here is just good, cheap insulation. All right, guys, so I'm saying number 1 and number 2 and number 3 all the way to number 7, but none of these are in any specific order. There probably is some that I like more than others, but honestly, everything on this list is probably equally important. You need all of them just for good backup for your farm, depending on where you live. And honestly, everything on this list is going to help you whether you're in really cold country or whether you're even in our country, because in our country, you can get away with a lot more stuff than a lot of y'all guys up there. I know a lot of people watching my channel are up north. You are dealing with sub-zero temperatures a lot, but for everybody down here, you're still dealing with temperatures that drop down freezing. And if you're not prepared for that, then that can still be a problem. So this is number 2. This is just a good simple heating lamp bulb. You can buy these at Tractor Supply. You can probably get them on Amazon. If we can find a link, we'll drop it down below. If you want to go check that out, that always helps us out. But you can get them just about anywhere. They're usually fairly affordable. You can either get it would just be a base that reflects it, but you can also do this. It plugs in. Now these are good for a lot of different things, and why you want to keep them around is because first of all, calf or lamb, bottle lamb or bottle calf. This helps to get some warmth back into them pretty quick. Also, if you've got chickens, like we're raising chickens, you've got to have something back up, not just to keep them warm, but sometimes to keep their water warm, because we don't have a good automatic watering system for our chickens that's freeze-proof. If anybody knows of something that really works, let us know, because we've got some good options we're going to show you for cattle, but we really haven't got a good system figured out for pastured birds that's freeze-proof. Now, so that's really going to help that out in our part of the country, is just using this. Another reason why you want to keep this around is because if you've got, say, a welding machine like this right here, or if you've got like a tractor or anything like that, usually they have a block heater. So you plug that in and it keeps your block warm. But if you don't have a block heater, then you can put a bulb like this. You take a tarp, you drape it over top of your tractor, over top of the hood, tuck it in real good, and you put a bulb like this and it keeps that warm. Now, it used to be you could get bulbs that any bulb that would come out of your house would keep that warm. But in our day and age, we've gone to green bulbs and all like that, which is great for saving electricity, but not great for keeping things warm. So this right here will really keep a lot of stuff warm and help you to actually get your tractor started the next morning. Bottom line is, this is going to put out a lot of heat. You do want to be careful. You don't want to melt anything. I have gotten these too close to valves and actually melted some stuff. So these things can help a lot in a lot of different areas. All right, guys, so next up is going to be water storage. I know that's not specifically a tool, but I've got several tools in mind that's going to help you with that. So what I'm holding right here is just a simple 5-gallon bucket lid. Now I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Well, one of the best ways for water storage is if you've got a pond, you got water on your land via a pond or whatever, that's a good source of water storage. that you can use to siphon water from your pond. And by siphoning that water, you can run a small trickle and keep that siphon going no matter how cold it gets, even sub-zero temperatures. That steady siphon will keep that from freezing, and using that pond, even if you get a layer of ice all over the whole top, using that pond as your backup water, you can actually keep animals and livestock water. But that's not going to work for everybody. It's not going to work in every situation. Another really good option is a storage tank. So we've got a storage tank right now because we're looking at some really cold temperatures, and in those really cold temperatures, we're worried that we might get some temperatures that we're not used to. So we've got a tank inside this shop here. We're able to close the doors, and that's gonna keep that tank about 10 degrees warmer. But what you can also do is have that storage tank. You can have your blanket that we've talked about, wrap that blanket around the valve, and you can also use your light to keep the valve from getting frozen. Because your valve is going to be your only problem. That big mass of water is going to take a while to freeze. So the valve is the only spot. So if you can keep that insulated with a blanket, even a pile of hay, just pick up a big pile of hay and stuff it around it, you're going to be fine. But if you can get a light, or if you can get the blanket we talked about and wrap it around there, now you've got some backup water. So if everything freezes up, then you've always got some backup water. That's where this right here comes in handy. Is worst case, you fill a 5-gallon bucket up. Now you've got a lid that will actually snap down on there really easy, and you can transport that water around wherever. That's not going to work forever, and that's not ideal. We're going to talk about some other stuff here in just a minute that's going to be ideal. This gets you out of a bind. This is for homesteaders, this is for beginners, and this is for anybody that gets into a really big bind. Pop it on there, you're good to go. So that's for water storage. All right, guys, so this one right here is a Job valve. This is a really good valve. This is my absolute favorite. It can't be used in every watering scenario for chickens and for cattle, but this is just my favorite. If you can possibly use this, I would highly suggest this be 100% your watering system, okay? I understand that this is not going to work for everybody, but this right here, if you can get this and you can bring your water from underground, this is not going to work for sub-zero situations where you're way up north, maybe even in Canada. I understand y'all's freeze line is super low, okay? So for y'all, I don't know what to tell you. But for a lot of people, even way up north, I've worked with a lot of people that this is going to work out well. And that's to have your tank here and have this directly, it's directly piped into your water line. I'll cut away to a tank that this is actually currently working with. But your water line is coming underground, and it comes up into your tank, and then you've got this much water under it. So you might, even if you freeze this much, which is pretty rare in our country, but for a lot of people, y'all that are farther up north, y'all might freeze down farther. This is still protected, okay? Worst case, get a deeper tank for a lot of people. So this stays protected. As long as you can keep that ice busted away, you're keeping water to your animals with this float. This is one of the best inventions made for cattle or for a farm at all. So I would highly suggest anybody use this. Now, this doesn't work for mobile, for like mob grazing and things like that. What you can do is something like this right here. You take this and you put it on the side. This goes in the inside, just like that, and it sticks out, just like this. So this is not going to be as freeze-proof, okay? What you can do is you keep that inside there, so that's protected because it's inside and it's under your water like that. You still have to break your ice away, okay? But you take your blanket here. This, like I said, this doesn't work for everybody, but this will work for pretty dang cold situations. You take your blanket, you wrap your hose. Your hose will have to be, this is a situation where you've got a plug-in water line and the majority of your water is underlined, or underground. So you take and wrap it, the little bit that's exposed, just wrap that up, and that's going to keep the rest of that from freezing. That's how we primarily water our cattle, and we're able to move around in a lot of different places. That works really well. So that's one reason why we suggest this, because this just works really well. But that Job float, if you can bury that down in the ground, that's going to be one of your best bets. But that's not going to work in every situation. So we're going to show you something here in just a minute that's going to really help you in a lot of ways. All right, guys, so this is not a tool, but this is just a quick tip I wanted to show you. Worst case, if this doesn't work for you and you're still worried that this is going to freeze and something's going to freeze up, like you get just a really cold night, you can always take you a little small hose, doesn't have to be real big. Worst case, a water hose, but really a water hose is a little bit too big. Draw you a siphon down a hill or even outside here. Once you get it siphoned, lay that on the ground, and that's going to keep moving, and then that's going to keep your valve triggered. That way you're always flowing. That's worst case. I don't like to do that, but if I absolutely have to, then that keeps all of your water moving and it keeps everything from freezing up. All right, guys, so this is probably one of my favorite, if I could have a favorite, even though it's not the most important, okay? And that's going to be hand warmers, okay? You can buy these in a lot of different places. I bought this one right here. It's an electric hand warmer. It charges your phone in a backup. It's got a little light on the front of it. I bought it at Walmart. You can probably get them on Amazon. I'm sure there's a lot of different good brands. I'll do some research. If I can find a better one than this, I'll drop a link. If not, go look at Walmart. You might find this. It works pretty decent. These right here you can pick up just about anywhere. They're called HotHands. You can find a lot of different ones. Like I said, if I can find a link, I'll drop it down there. You can get all sorts of different sizes on these. These are convenient, they're handy, okay? I put these in a neck warmer. If I get really cold, I'll put them in a neck warmer. It helps me to stay warm because, like, if I'm out welding somewhere or I'm working on a job or if I'm working around, I don't like to get all bulky. I don't like to pile on tons of clothes. I would rather still be agile. So a lot of times I can just wear less clothes and put in a couple of these hand warmers, and now I can still get out and work and I stay nice and warm. Everybody wonders why in the world I look like I'm warm, and that's why, because I've got a bunch of these in. This is actually my favorite. This one right here is made by Zippo. This one is just cool. You can't get past it being cool. It fills up with lighter fluid. It's not necessarily the most convenient. This is definitely the most convenient, is this one right here, because it's easy. But it is the cheapest, because you can always keep putting in fuel. But not only that, if you ever want to go camping or something like that, it's going to last the longest because you can keep on. And what I mean by last the longest, it only lasts for 6 hours. But what I mean is you can carry the least amount of stuff. So you got a little bitty thing of fluid that will last you for days and days and days on end. So on a camping trip, these are great. I actually like to keep them around as well, and I'll refuel them. It just depends on your taste. But this one's for the cool factor more than anything. This one right here is because of a lot of different things. It's convenient in a lot of different ways. This is because you can put them just about anywhere. You can have 5 or 6. Put them in your boots. Put them in your neck warmer. I mean, put them in your little warm thing around your neck. Whatever you want to do. However you want to do it, it doesn't matter. They're all great, and this is going to help you in a lot of different ways. But one reason why these are some of the best is because back to if you have a calf that a mama just won't take, or a lamb that they just won't take, and it's a freezing cold night, it's always going to be the worst freezing cold night. You've usually got sleet or rain or something, and you're just trying to get it warmed up. You stuff a couple of these in around this blanket, you're going to warm them up quick. These right here are just invaluable for that kind of thing. Okay, guys, so we're not quite to the end here, but a freeze miser. I don't know if y'all have heard of it or not. I haven't used them. I have seen them. There's people right around in our area that use the freeze miser. But the reason I really like it is because there's a lot of people, even way up north, that are using the freeze miser. They're in Wyoming. They're in a lot of different really cold country. I call it really cold country. I know people watch my channel that are living way up in Alaska and things like that. I get that. I don't know about y'all. I would love to see it in the comments if any of y'all can use any of these things. But I'm talking about people here in the States. I'm not trying to, throw everybody else out there. We're doing the best we can. We live in the South, okay? So the freeze miser is seemingly a really good tool. I have ordered some on Amazon. I'm going to try them out, and I'm going to have a whole video showing y'all what we think about them, if they're useful in our farm applications. I'm kind of thinking they might be really great for chickens and pigs and things like that. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm gonna have a video on it. But there's too many people out there that are saying that they're absolutely good. So for that reason, I had to include this on this list. The way they work, you put them in a Y. So you have a water hose going this way into your tank, and then you have your Y coming this way. You put your freeze miser in. If it ever starts to drop below freezing, the freeze miser engages, and it engages a trickle. So everybody knows you've got to turn your faucet on if you want to keep stuff from freezing up. Well, this automatically engages a trickle. It takes no electricity. It doesn't take any kind of power at all. It's a spring mechanism that's activated by the cold. As soon as the cold kicks in, as soon as it gets about, I think it's about 36, somewhere in there, then that will start dripping, and that keeps things from actually freezing up. I know a guy just a couple minutes from me that uses it. He loves them, but I also know several guys up in Wyoming that are using them and having some really good luck. So I would absolutely suggest looking that up. We will drop that in the link in the description. But if you want to wait, then we will have a video on that sometime this winter. So I know I've said several of these are kind of my favorite, but really none of them are my favorite because they're all my favorite. But this is definitely, it's got to be right up there with one of my favorite. These are cheap. It's like 13, maybe 20 bucks. I don't remember what they are, but they're cheap for what they are. All this is a pair of silk gloves, okay? So come in close. Everybody knows if you're wearing welding gloves or if you're wearing gloves out on the farm, you've either got to have gloves that are way too thick and you can't do anything, you can't feel anything, there's nothing you can do. If you're hunting in a deer stand, then you really can't feel anything. You can't pull the triggers. It is just, to me, it sucks. I hate it. So I found these online. Silk, not only does it repel water, so if you were to be walking to a deer stand and you start to sweat, it's actually going to wick water away from your skin and to the outside. So that's really nice because once you sit in the deer stand, then it doesn't want to refreeze that water back to your hands. Not only that, silk is also touch screen, so you can touch your phone, you can touch any touch screen you want. You get a size that's smaller than you're used to wearing. I'll look in the description. I don't remember how many sizes small. We're gonna drop a link in the description for these. I bought these on Amazon years ago. If I can still find these, you want a size that's really snug, really, really tight, okay? So these work very, very well, but what's great about them is you can wear an ordinary pair of gloves, welding gloves, working gloves when you're unwrapping the net on the hay, whatever you're doing. Leather gloves get cold, okay? You put that on, it slips on and off really well, really pretty daggum easy, but it takes that cold and just doesn't transfer down. So it's kind of like wool, but it's not as thick and heavy as wool, because it takes the cold and it keeps it from being right there at your skin. It just pulls it right out. So if I want to pull these gloves off, I can work with stuff. I can touch a piece of metal like this, and I'm not directly feeling that cold. There's no cold to me. Whereas if I'm touching this, I can feel the cold. So it's pulling that right out of my hands. I get to where I just can't really feel my fingers. So that helps a lot if you need to pull your gloves off, you need to feel something. It helps when you're welding. Everybody knows when you first get started welding, you just can barely feel your hands because your hands are, the glove is just putting so much cold into your hand. So I don't really know what to say about these other than I like them and they're worth trying out. They're not going to be for everybody, but I absolutely love them. I love them for feeding hay. I love them for going out and welding. You can't, they're so thin, you don't even know you have them on. When you put this pair of gloves on right here, I can't tell I have two pairs of gloves on. It feels just the same to me. So I like them. If you want to try them out, I suggest, worst case, return them on Amazon. Go try them out. So that's my list, guys. That's all 7. Thank you all so much. Stay tuned for next week.